This is Wayne Gravatt again, Missoula, Montana. I got another fly for you here today. I think that you're going to like a lot. As we talked about in the last video, it's kind of a continuation, a new improvement that I made in, we went from the conventional Charlie Special to the improved Charlie Special. And then because it was such a badass fly, I came up with the name of this one. It's called Breaking Bad. So this is a great fly. All synthetic. There's no natural materials in this fly. Floats like a cork. You're going to like this one. So let's look at what we have here for equipment today. So we're going to take a look at the equipment today. We have a wire brush. I'll show you a little technique with that. Again, the black magic marker. Funny story about this one. You'll look at that and wonder what are we doing with that. Whip finisher, hackle pliers. Again, the bobbin, 6/0 on the thread. Scissors. And one of the things I do with this, I keep this is just a fingernail file, and you would think, what are you going to do with this? When you're tying flies, you get a lot of rough spots on your fingers, especially on the two fingers that you use the most. And this will help you so you don't catch thread on it. And it's really handled. That should be next to you all the time you're tying. All right, so let's get started with the fly. Okay, oh, and I didn't mention the hook. This is a size 6, 3X long hook. That's what I like for this fly. Basically, I tie this in sizes, I go down only as small as 10s on this fly, and I tie it up to 6s, and I've actually done a few 4s as well. And it's a very good salmon fly imitation. It's my #2 seller in one of the fly shops that I tie for, but you're going to like this one. All right, to start out, let's put a nice thread base, just like we do on all of them. Nice and tight. Notice too that this is a heavy wire hook and not a light wire hook. What it does is it enables me to put a lot of pressure on it without giving it a lot of hook movement. So that's kind of critical of this fly. Now this one is quite a bit different than when we tied the conventional Charlies. So we're going to start with the polypropylene yarn. We're going to start that up near the eye of the hook. Lash that down nice. Keep that right across the top, just like that. Bring that back down there. Lash it down really tight, nice and tight. Okay, so again, just the pitch and catch technique. So we're not going to overlap that. We're just going to go side by side with the wraps. Notice that the left hand is doing very little, just catching. Just a pitch and catch. Okay, that's about the size of the head going to be. So we're going to cut that off right there, just like that. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to take the 3mm orange foam, just like we did on the improved Charlies. So we're going to bring that out in front, and that's going to be the head. Okay, now we're going to lash that down really nice. And we're going to bring that all the way up there, just like that. Now, remember we talked about we were going to segment that body. So this is quite a bit different. And one of the things it does when you segment it like that is that it gives it even better flotation, because as you lash it down like in the improved Charlies, it takes some of the air out of it. So notice how I'm doing a lot of wraps right there to really secure that so it doesn't turn around on the hook. Let's back that one up. There we go. Just like that. Notice how I'm just moving it back. My thumb and finger are going back, creating those segments. Okay, now what we're going to do, let's go ahead and cut that tail slash the end of the body off, just like that. Now we're going to go back into the segments that we tied, just like that. Perfect. And that's where we'll get that. We don't interfere then with that segmentation. We're going to lash this part down because that's going to be the head, okay? Like that. Nice and tight. Okay. Now, we're going to take some crystal flash. I use orange here. Oh, I don't know, 6 to 8, not a big thing. We want that reasonably long, so I'm going to go about that distance right there. And that's going to give it just a little bit of flash. Just like that. Okay. Now, we're going to take the white polypropylene. We need 3 strands of it, so it's a nice thick wean. We're going to line those up together. Just like that. Now this is a true story. When I had hair, I actually carried this around with me. And it folded up. It was kind of cheesy, but I never threw it away, and I've actually found a good use for it. So here we go. So what you want to do is comb this out. Oh, I want brown. My bad. I grabbed the wrong one. Brown to start. And if you're tying smaller flies, you don't need as many strands. Like say you were going to fall down to tins and whatnot, you only need a couple strands of this, not as many. So here we go. It's a little hard on the jeans. You can see that good. So I'm just going to get it a little bit fluffed out with this. Then I'm going to take one of these wire brushes. You can buy these at a hardware store. They sell like dubbing brushes and things that are similar to this, but nothing quite like this. And it really does a nice job of fluffing that out like that. And you can see how fluffed out like that, how buoyant it's going to be. Alrighty. Best thing to do here is to just set it on there, and we'll trim it after we get it up there. Okay. So we're just going to set that right in the gap where the black thread and the start of the foam is at the eye of the hook. Slash that down nice. And again, it's all synthetic on this fly. There's nothing. We're going to go just a tiny bit beyond the body, just about like that. And you can see that nice profile, and I'll show you an important thing underneath it. It's the fish's view that's the important view. Doesn't matter what you look like from up here. It looks good, but that isn't what the fish sees. So same thing. We're going to take our trusty switchblade comb, brush, okay, same thing. Don't have to pre-cut it. Let's just get it up there. We'll measure it and cut it when we get it up there. All right, so we're going to set it right in the same gap that we set the brown polypropylene. And this looks like a lot of thread, and it is a lot of thread, but you want a lot of thread. The last thing you want is a fly that doesn't hold up and will spin around the hook. That's just not a good feature. I do this one actually about 1/8 of an inch longer than the brown. And it's just kind of the profile as it stands up. You'll notice then that it matches up right there. Okay. So now, just like in the Improved Trolley Special, we're going to bring that 3mm foam over. We're going to lash it down right at the end of the black where the body starts for the red. And again, I usually count to 10 here. I'm counting it in my mind. And so I've got that on there, lashed on there really nice and tight. So now we're going to take 2 strands of the orange rubber. So we're going to set that on the far side first. Hold it in there with the forefinger of your left hand, right hand if you're left-handed. Tie that in nice. That's good. Now we're going to try and match the length of the back one while we do this. This makes it quite a bit easier. Just like that. Give that a little pull, and we can trim them after. It's no big deal. Okay. So we're going to take the whip finisher, catch it right there, make that loop. Five or six, doesn't matter. Those legs will get caught up in there. They'll pull right out. No big deal. Now this one, because these legs are a little bit longer, let's just pre-cut them just like that. And there we go. And you can see then what the bottom of the fly looks like. Gives it a very nice profile. See that nice segmentation it gives? Gives it that red for an attractive. So the last thing that we're going to do to this fly, just like we did with the improved, we're going to trim that bottom. Just like that. Then we're just going to color the end of it black, representing the egg sac. And that's the profile that we're interested in, the bottom of that fly, and that's what the fish is going to see. And that's a very nice profile on the water. Sets really low on the water. Next fly we're going to tie, we're going to show you the best combination to fish off this fly. It's a fly called Jumpin' Jack Flash. And when I fish salmon flies, that's always what I drop. But I mean, you could drop other things, but that's just my favorite. But that's a very nice looking fly. Okay, so here's the profile of the fish sees, and that's the one, that's the true judge. That's the one that people tend not to look at, but you can see that's a very nice profile. So the last step we're going to do, and again, I don't do this until I tie a number of flies, but for purposes right here, let's just put the head cement on it right now. And again, I like the brush as opposed to like a bobbin, mainly because it just gets in there really nice. You want your head cement not to be thick. You want it to flow in there nice. And notice I put it all the way around it, so it holds those legs in there, right? So there we go. This is Breaking Bad. You can see why it's the name that. It's a very good fly. You use this fly, you'll have very good results. The next fly that we're going to do, again, is the one that I like to fish as a dropper off salmon flies, and the guides use them a lot. That'll be our next video coming out. We'd really appreciate a thumbs up if you like this, and we'd love to have your comments, and we would love you to subscribe. So thank you very much. Give them hell.